Okay, well, tonight we're doing something a little bit different because this is a meal that takes about 24 hours preparation. We're going to do a marinade.
That's right. We're going to marinate a venison roast for the grill. We intend to do this very quickly. It's super easy. Anyone can do this. It works great with flank steak as well, so you can substitute that in.
Yeah, we've been doing this recipe for, 10 years with flank steak, and it's going to be grilled, and then it's going to be served over arugula with Parmesan Reggiano. But it requires a 24-hour marinade. So what's in this marinade?
Okay, it's very simple. First we have a little bit of salt. So we hit the steak with a lot of salt. It's a generous salting because it's going into the marinade, so it's going to get...
so some of it's going to get washed off.
Exactly. Get it with a little bit of garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic too, but I'm trying to do it as easy and quick as possible. This will lend a nice crust as well to it. A little cumin.
How much would you say?
Here's the thing. If it's a big steak, you've got a lot of surface area, you can put a lot more on it. If it's a small steak, you can't. So I purposely am not using a whole lot of specific measurements. Teaspoon, half a teaspoon, enough to cover.
Are these equal amounts?
Roughly equal amounts.
Okay.
Not an equal amount of the cayenne, just a little bit.
Right.
Use the cayenne to taste. You don't really need to worry about it too much. But we'll do the same thing to the other side.
So again with the salt.
That's the salt. And you can see that's, I'm hitting this generously.
Garlic powder.
Garlic powder. And I'm hitting that fairly generously too. And again, you can use fresh garlic, it's just fine. Cumin. Kind of rub that in a little bit. And it doesn't need to be too cute because it's going into a bag with grapefruit juice here and some of this grapefruit pulp and a little bit of the Worcestershire.
Okay.
Again, cayenne.
Just a little bit. That looks like more than a little bit, but...
It will be fine.
Okay.
It really will. I've never found it to be too hot. So, open up the bag, roll it out.
Ziploc bag.
Ziploc bag, yes. We'll roll it out so the meat doesn't get into the zipper on it. Slide the meat into the Ziploc bag. And grab our Worcestershire, get that open. Get our mustard open. About, I'm going to say 2 teaspoons of the grapefruit pulp. And you could probably substitute a generic Dijon mustard. It'll be fine. And just got a little bit on the other side too. Don't need to worry about this too much because it's going to be in a marinade. We're going to rub it all around and flip it around a couple times.
So basically, you'd let it sit on one side. Once you've got it in the marinade, you kind of pull all the air out of it, exactly. And then you just flip it over. Now, why the grapefruit juice?
There's something magical about grapefruit in this combination. I don't know what the chemical is, but it creates a nice crust when you grill it.
The sugars.
Yes.
Yeah, the sugars from the grapefruit.
And it's really a pleasant, different, unexpected taste combination. I did not think it would work this well with venison, but it does.
I think in the past, if we didn't have a grapefruit, that you've used an orange.
I've used an orange and I've used a little lime, but grapefruit's really the best.
Okay. So you can use orange as a substitute, but grapefruit really is.
Yeah, that's the best.
Ace.
And then you just want enough to cover. You don't need a whole lot. You want a little bit of about an equal amount of Worcestershire and grapefruit juice.
Okay.
And then that's it. You can go to the fridge, let this sit for 24 hours.
And we'll flip it over a couple times. Like every 4 hours, we'll just flip it over onto the other side just to make sure that it's getting good contact with the marinade. Mm-hmm. And then we'll finish this up tomorrow night.
Exactly. We'll be good to go.
Okay, it has been 24 hours and the venison has been well and thoroughly marinated. And
we turned it about 4 times, every so often. No big deal. And it's coming out of the marinade now, getting ready to go into a very hot grill.
Yeah, the grill is already going, and from this point on, we're having dinner in 20 minutes. This is not going to take long at all. Okay, the venison is off the grill. It's been out there for about how long?
About 4 minutes aside, and then we moved it off the grill, put the heavy, thick side over the edge of the fire and the thin side off the fire, and cooked it for about 10 minutes more, with the lid partially on, so it wasn't too hot there. But it's one of those things, depending upon the thickness. On a thin steak, you won't have to do this at all. On a thicker steak, you're going to have to take it off the grill and let it cook a little bit indirectly, so you don't burn the flesh.
Okay, and basically, you wanted to get to an inside temperature of approximately
about 130, 135.
And that thing's awesome for
that. It's very nice for doing that.
And it was cheap too. It was like $8 or something at Sur La Table.
Yeah, it was very affordable.
Yeah, so highly recommend getting one of those for venison, for beef, for whatnot.
So we're working on the dressing. This is salt and pepper in here so far, and a teaspoon of the Grey Poupon
Mustard.
Same thing we used in the marinade.
Okay.
And we're going to use a bit of sherry vinegar.
Show me the bottle. Got it. We've used this before.
We have used this before. This is virtually the same dressing. So I'm going to do maybe a teaspoon or so, teaspoon and a half of the sherry vinegar. I can adjust that later on. And then we start with the olive oil, standard extra virgin olive oil. Putting it in, and then whisk it together so we get a nice emulsion. It makes for a little more complex and interesting salad, and that dressing is perfect. So what we're going to want to do here, again while the meat is resting, is we're going to use a regular vegetable peeler. You could use a very sharp knife or a truffle peeler or something like that, but most people have a vegetable peeler, and it works just great.
And again, this is for serving two.
Yeah, this is just for two. We're not making it a cheese salad if we can help it.
Although,
worse things might happen.
Yeah, it's not too bad there, so.
So anyway, we've got that. Let's try getting our meat together here.
And this has been resting for how long?
About 5 minutes.
Okay.
And we want to cut it against the grain, across the grain. So
how do you know?
You can see the fibers of the meat are running this way. So we're going to cut the opposite way. If you can see those, you kind of see the lines of the muscle fibers going that way. So what I'm going to do is
it's basically kind of a 90-degree angle.
Yeah. And you know, if it's not a 90-degree angle, it's okay too.
And you can actually hear that crust, that grapefruit, the sugars from the grapefruit that has been marinating in for 24 hours. It creates a crispy, almost, this is like venison candy.
Yes.
It's very nice.
You can see how that meat's looking there. About 135 is where it was.
And if this was a flank steak, you would be cutting it a lot thinner.
Yeah, if it was a flank steak, it wouldn't have taken so much time on the grill. I would have cut it thinner.
A flank steak would probably be about half the thickness of this.
Maybe even a third. So this is a funny steak, but you know how venison is. Some pieces are thicker than others, and you just have to adjust. And here we go. So we need to dish up the salad, and we'll plate the meat, and we'll show you the final result in just a minute.
Awesome. Okay, at this point, you just take the arugula, which is basically just from a regular old box from the grocery store.
Great if you grow it yourself, but this is February or
yeah,
late January.
If you can grow it, yourself in January, February, then more power to you. But we're going with the box from Kroger's because that's the best we can do for now.
And so we just tossed the dressing in that nice emulsion. I tasted it for balance. You should too. You should always make sure the balance between the acidity and the oil is appropriate for your palate. This dinner's got a little richness to it, so it can be a little bit more acidic, but you don't want it too acidic because it'll mess with your wine and obscure the subtlety of the flavors.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start adding venison to this surface. And this is cooked a little bit more than I wanted it to be. However, You get to see my failures as well as my successes.
And it's gonna taste excellent.
We already tasted
nibbled.
it. We're happy with it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
we definitely nibbled, so there's no question that this is still awesome.
And some of these juices can go
Don't waste.
right over the top. Bang with that. And get the sprinkle some of this wonderful Reggiano over the top of the plates.
Again, it's a great texture. It's a great garnish. It kind of mellows out the sharpness of the arugula, and it just really brings things together. And I love the big chunks, the big, the
It's
long.
another texture as well on the salad,
Yeah.
too, which is nice. You
And
want to balance your
if you're a
textures.
fan of Star Trek, you'll like. Okay, just kidding.
Nice.
All right, this is excellent. And again, this is 20-minute from grill to plate, so this is a really easy, really quick, and gorgeous meal. Thanks again. This is venison roast, marinated with Parmesan Reggiano over arugula, and it's dinner tonight.